poker good game.
I always want to be the one to take the shot, even if I miss.
Walker better. Inside spins, put it up, count it, and the foul! Yes, sir! That's the law of this league.
More than 40 NBA scouts and executives have descended upon Evansville, Indiana, where projected top 5 draft pick Ja Morant and the Murray State Racers will play in tonight's Ohio Valley Conference Championship. But the scouts are also keenly interested in Belmont's projected second-rounder Dylan Windler. However, their thoughts of NBA glory for another day. Tonight, it's all about the OVC title game for a spot in the NCAA tournament. You're watching ESPN's Champ Week presented by Principal. They shared the regular season championship in the OVC. Murray State and Belmont, both 26-4 overall, both 16-2 in conference play. And here is how they got there. In the semifinal round last night, plenty of excitement. Begun by Windler, who had a record-setting performance, 32 points, 21 rebounds. And then in the nightcap, Mr. Morant with a highlight dunk. But in the end, closing seconds, game-winning shot, survive and advance is what the Racers have done. And so, it's the matchup everybody around the OVC has been waiting for. Belmont, Murray State for the 2019 Conference Championship. And welcome everybody. Doug Sherman along with Malcolm Huckabee. Thank you for joining us. We should have a whole lot of fun here tonight in the Ford Center. This will be the first conference punching a ticket into the big dance. So, you win, you move on. That's what's on the line.
It's simple. Advance, win tonight. Last night, what a night we had. We had Magic Johnson courtside. The 2 stars did not disappoint. Doug, I cannot wait to get this thing going.
Okay, Ja Morant is the headliner. We have seen what he can do throughout the year. What do you expect from him tonight in the title game?
Well, I expect more of the same what we saw last night. He had an outstanding game, 29 points, 8 assists. He started the game off with a highlight dunk right there, showing off the hop. This is what impressed me the most, his ability to elevate his teammates. He made some unbelievable passes to close out that game, and then, as you said, winning time right here. Big-time bucket and one, ice in his veins. He put on a show for all the NBA scouts last night.
For more, we bring in the 3rd member of our team tonight here in Evansville, Brooke Weisbrod.
Well, it's going to be awfully hard to slow down Ja Morant, but Rick Byrd says he's got a plan. He says, listen, the first 8 seconds of their offense are the most dangerous. We have to be great in transition defense. Murray State loves to run, and Ja Morant with the ball in his hands is very dangerous. And when we talked to him about what's Ja more dangerous at, sometimes shooting or score or passing, and he said, really, either one, he's dangerous. But we're just going to have to make his night as uncomfortable as we can.
Head coach of the Bruins in his 33rd year at Belmont, Rick Byrd, wearing that signature sweater vest. The 65-year-old native of Knoxville, Tennessee, who coaches this mid-major power looking to get back to the big dance. Joe Lunardi says the Bruins are a 12 seed right now as the automatic bid, but they've got to earn it on the floor tonight against their arch rival from Murray State. And we are underway here at the Ford Center. Belmont in the whites as the number 1 seed. Murray State in the navy as the 2 seed. And the dunk is missed by Seth Adelsberger, who was fouled. And he's getting the start tonight for Belmont because of an injury suffered by starting center Nick Muszynski in the semifinals yesterday. Muszynski is in the building using crutches to get around. We saw him during shoot-around this morning, and he clearly was not able to put much weight on that foot.
And that's huge, Doug. In their last meeting, Muszynski was a key piece in that. He had 20 points and 6 assists in that game. He was hobbling around during shoot-around. He's on crutches right now, wincing in pain. So that is a huge advantage, I believe, for Murray State, that Belmont does not have Muszynski's production in the lineup tonight.
Meanwhile, for the Racers, same starting 5 again this evening for the championship game. Started by Morant, Tevin Brown, Shaq Buchanan in the backcourt, Coart and Sanchez up front. Matt McMahon said they've got to get the ball into big number 32. That's what they do on their first possession, and he delivers. And so for Belmont, it's all about Dylan Windler, but don't sleep on Kevin McClain and Grayson Murphy in the backcourt. This is a star-studded, talented bunch. This is Murphy, the redshirt freshman point guard from Franklin, Tennessee, who makes this team go. Windler had it knocked away by Buchanan. Around and out on the mid-range jump shot by Murphy.
The transition defense for Belmont in this game is going to be huge. We talked with Coach Berg this morning at shoot-around. He said, look, our transition D has to be on point tonight. If not, Murray State is going to have a big advantage if they're able to get out in transition and get quick buckets.
Now, about the only statistic in the OVC that John Morant is not in the top 10 is three-point shooting, but at 34%, it's not awful and is a decent part of his game. But we saw him miss badly on his first attempt. And as far as the NBA scouts who love John Morant, ESPN projects him as the #3 overall pick in this year's NBA draft. A jump shot is something you can work on, the intangibles, the ability to see the floor. The physical tools that he has, you can't teach those things. Williams, who makes 70% of his shots from the floor, is 1 for 1 tonight.
And another thing Coach Berg talked about, second chance opportunities. That's great work by KJ Williams, the freshman from Cleveland.
Murphy, no. And you've probably noticed by now a decidedly pro Murray State crowd in attendance. This building seats 10,000. We are near capacity after setting an OVC tournament record in the semis last night. Well, Murray State is in the able hands of fourth-year head coach Matt McMahon, the 2000 graduate of Appalachian State University, 40 years old and a real up-and-comer in the coaching ranks.
He's a rising star, and what he's done with this program last season, postseason, in the NCAA tournament. But I think how he's handled the Ja Morant situation in terms of all the fanfare. You got Magic Johnson courtside and so forth. Really, he's done a masterful job keeping this team together, and they have some other talented guys on this team. It's not just Ja Morant, but certainly he is the leader.
Well, Coach McMahon's going to have to figure out how to work around foul difficulty for Coart. His big guy just left with his second personal foul. No basket on the end line.
We talked to Coach Berg. Again, transition defense, make or miss. Ja Morant and Murray State, they want to get out and try to get quick offense. I couldn't see that time right there, whether or not his foot was on the line, but the referee was in great position to make that call.
Illegal screen. That's going to be called against big number 50, Seth Adelsberger, making his first start of the season. Now, he has started in previous years. He was part of a three-headed monster big man rotation last year, but he has been playing only in reserve behind the injured Nick Muszynski this year. And so for Seth Adelsberger, if he's averaging about 12 minutes played per game, what can we reasonably expect out of him for Belmont tonight?
Well, he's going to have to give them a lot. Obviously, making up for the loss of Muszynski not being in the lineup. I think the biggest thing is defensive rebounding and being good in transition. Coach Berg, again, his big thing was we need all 5 guys back on transition defense, whether it's make or miss, and create bodies in front of Ja Morant.
Well, the two NBA prospects matching up on this possession. Windler couldn't get it over Morant. The 6'3" point guard wins that one. Drive and dish. Brown spotting up. Back the other way comes Grayson Murphy. Finds the open man McClain for 3.
Well, Doug, I am so impressed with Grayson Murphy. He is one of the best assist guys, not just in the OVC, but in the country. That's a beautiful find, and anytime you play Belmont, you must defend the three-point line. Right now, they average close to 11 threes made per game. That's beautiful execution in transition by Belmont. Here
goes Morant. Tough shot. Out of bounds again, so the ball will be Belmont's when we come back. The co-regular season champs of the OVC, Belmont Murray State, battling for the first spot in the field of 68. Murray State has had guards have gone on to the NBA. Isaiah Cannon was a racer from 09 to 13. Cameron Payne from 13 to 50. And, well, in terms of athletic ability and highlight ability, Ja Morant has them all trumped.
He does, and you look at these numbers right here. He is trying to become the first to average a double-double. Look at that, 24 points and 10 assists. And I believe that's what separates him, Doug. His ability to set other guys up for some easy looks.
Now, you really thought Trae Young at Oklahoma last year was going to go for 20 and 10 for the season, but his numbers trailed off as the year went on. He finished with, I think, about 9 assists per game for the Sooners. But at this point, Ja Morant, since the NCAA started tracking assists back in the 80s, on pace to be the first ever 20-10 man for a year. That's Breon Sanchez, 6'8", 245, his first 2 points of the night.
And with Muzinski out of the lineup right now, Murray State is working their bigs, and they're trying to really pound the ball down low inside and get some post touches.
Morant behind the back basically has at least 4 eyes, if not 6, on him every time he's got the ball in hand. The whistle comes, held ball, possession arrow will keep it down at this end. Racers possession.
And we saw a few folks slip last night. I know there's always concern anytime you have decals down on the floor, whether or not there's some sweat, and also you just certainly don't want guys in a situation where there's any dangerous situations. They wipe it up, but that's certainly something we'll watch as this game progresses.
We are in the Ford Center, beautiful new building here in downtown Evansville, Indiana, in a state that loves its basketball. Dylan Windler from just up the road in Indianapolis, off the steal. He picks up the assist as McClain buries another jumper.
Transition offense right now. They are putting on a clinic. They're getting out, they're getting dribble penetration, and then they are finding guys for some wide open looks.
Windler dumps it off. Adelsberger missed the dunk, but we've got a foul against Murray State. First on Sanchez.
All right, here you're going to take a look at it again. Nice offense. Windler with the nice play draws so much attention, like Morant. Nice little dump off pass, and they've got it going on the offensive side right now, Belmont.
Well, Malcolm, for the 34th year, Champ Week continues tomorrow with 4 women's title games on ESPN2. The ACC Championship game is at noon Eastern, then it's the SEC. The Big Ten is at 6, followed by the Pac-12 at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. You can always watch them live on the ESPN app from anywhere. Adelsberger gets the second, and he will be replaced in the lineup by Derek Saban, a freshman from Slinger, Wisconsin, who didn't get into the game last night, but will be expected to play at least a few minutes in the rotation with the injury to Muzinski.
Yeah, that's going to be huge in this game. What production they give him. Again, they don't need him to score much, I think, defensively, and then be sound in the transition defense game for those bigs filling in for Muzinski is going to be huge in this game.
This is Javion Eves, one of the reserve guards for the Racers. Shot clock down to 7. Buchanan into the lane. Wild shot. Belmont up by 5 with the basketball. Nearly 7 minutes in. McClain. And he will head to the free throw line after being fouled on the shot.
And Doug, that's all set up again by Grayson Murphy. I'm so impressed with his game. Right now, he is 10th in the nation, close to 7 assists per game. You said it, he is the heart of that offense. He gets everybody in their position, and then he finds guys. I really like how he plays that point guard position.
And I like his backcourt mate here, McClain. You know, he has been aching for an NCAA bid following OVC tournament upsets to Austin Peay, Jacksonville State, and Murray State over the last 3 years. But the senior from Jennings, Florida, who's had a marvelous final year with Belmont, went for 20 points in the semifinals last night, and he had himself a signature game at Pauley Pavilion earlier this year when Belmont beat the other Bruins, beat UCLA. This is a team that puts up a lot of points, does it efficiently, shares the basketball. The numbers right there speak volumes.
Numbers don't lie. I mean, they're first in the nation, 20 assists per game. That tells me one thing. They share the ball, they have excellent spacing, and they're well coached.
Morant still looking for his first points. McClain unselfishly dumps it off. And the three's a little long by Nick Hopkins. Out of bounds to Murray.
Right now, Coach McMahon giving the referee an earful. The referee is talking to him right now. He felt there should have been a foul called on the other end.
And Malcolm, who would have thought 7.5 minutes in that neither John Morant or Dylan Windler would have scored yet?
Well, you know, after the performances they put up last night, certainly they are going to be obviously keyed in on by both defenses.
Morant goes 1-on-3, banks it in, and pulls Murray State back to within 5. McClain, the first to double figures tonight with 10, looking to go to work. Off the little head fake into the lane, goes to the left hand, missed the layup. Racers with the basketball with Shaq Buchanan.
That's a nice job of transition defense by Belmont. All 5 guys sprinting back, create a little wall.
Morant off the mark. Wide open, deep 3-ball. Off the front rim by Windler. Buchanan, who had 2 huge 3-pointers late in the semifinal round. A tough driving shot here.
That is great body control, and you're right. He had 2 huge threes at the end of that game last night against Jacksonville State.
Step back McClain. And a foul underneath as Shaq Buchanan backed his way under Dylan Windler, who got the rebound. First foul on Buchanan.
Well, last night, John Morant put on a show. Right now, early on, both teams trying to get into a groove. John Morant with the finish.
Welcome.
And the 2 big things that jump at you is that Duke and Tennessee have fallen off the 1 line.
It really has, but obviously at this time right now, I don't think that's going to really make that big of a difference. That line is going to continue to change as we get through all these conference tournaments, but certainly Duke without Zion Williamson, you got to put a big asterisk next to that. Certainly he impacts everything that they do on both ends of the court.
Let's go back over to Brooke.
Well, just listening in on the Murray State huddle, Coach McMahon really pleased with their ability just to play through some adversity here in the first half. And he likes draw creating off the dribble. He wants to see more of that, but more of a high screen and rolls. And look for the hard roll from Williams to go for the alley-oop. You see him starting to come up top here for the screen now, but look for him for the hard roll for the alley-oop.
Well, a tournament resume with both of these teams that are possibilities as at-large. The loser of this game could get in. The resumes are both very impressive. You see 26-4 overall. The problem for both of these is strength of schedule. Belmont, according to Joe Lunardi, would be a 12 seed going in, and so that makes you think that if they lose this game to Murray State, they've got a fighting chance to get in that large bid. For Murray State, it's a little bit more tenuous.
Well, listen, Magic Johnson was on here last night with Brooke, and I agree with what he said. Look, it would be a shame if neither one of these teams were in the tournament. Forget about just Ja Morant and also on the other side, Belmont. It just, they have other players around them. I think they passed the eye test. I think, again, they are two teams that should be in the field.
Well, Windler has a couple of amazing saves, but Belmont can't cash in. Buchanan misses on the fly. Another rebound for number 3 in white. He had 21 boards, a career high in the semifinals last night. A game they won over Austin P 83-67. Although he's still looking for his first point tonight.
And that's a clean look. Murray State got a break right there. That's a wide open look for Windler.
Well, Windler not only leads the conference, as KJ Williams hits the jumper, Windler leads the league in rebounds per game and three-point shooting. That is a heck of a 1-2 combination out of one guy.
Yeah, really, just an impressive performance he put on last night as well, too. And I expect his draft stock to continue to rise.
Belmont's gone cold. Murray State back within 4. By the way, that last jump shot by KJ Williams, the first points to come from outside the paint so far tonight for Murray State. Trying again, it's Buchanan. He left it short. Long hustle for the rebound. And Windler's going to pick up the foul. Great effort by Devin Gilmore. Well, there are the numbers for Windler last night when he was just simply amazing. 32 points, 21 rebounds, so far 5 boards. He's been very active but deferential. As we talked about, he shoots it at a 44% clip on the year from three-point range, including what was a brilliant 8 for 15 shooting last night.
And I think fatigue, again, fatigue could be a factor. Remember, these teams both played tough games last night. Windler, the performance he put up, I mean, it was just masterful. The way he operated on offense, and then all the rebounds, 21 rebounds he had in that game. I think you're going to have some tired legs out here as we continue to progress in this game.
So now we see there number 43 on the ESPN NBA Draft Tracker board, Dylan Windler. So that would put him somewhere in the middle of the second round. But in talking this morning with Will Perdue, he is in town calling the game on Westwood One Radio. Of course, he was a first-round draft pick himself in 1988 coming out of Vanderbilt. And he, after watching what Windler did yesterday, thinks he could sneak himself into the first round.
Absolutely agree. I talked to several scouts last night after the game, and they were impressed with him being a complementary player, a role player, all the different things that he can do. Really, this future very bright for him.
Caleb Hollander into the game for Belmont. Misfires on his first attempt. Here goes Morant for the tie. He's got it. Poked away by Morant. Can they get him the ball? Here goes number 12 for the layup. The Racers take the lead at 18-16.
Well, I know it's supposed to be a neutral site, but this sure feels like a home game for Murray State. They have shown up tonight.
Another knock away from behind by Morant. Belmont keeps possession. Belmont only 3 of 12 from beyond the arc. Make it 3 of 13. The huge block shot by KJ Williams.
Well, the energy in this building has been all Murray State. Ja Morant putting on another show for the crowd tonight. Murray State is rolling.
Alumni. The one I like most, going old school, is Minnie Pearl. I saw her back at the Grand Ole Opry in the 1970s. I'm not kidding you.
Oh, come on, man. Stop fronting on me. I know you're an R&B guy, all right? I know you're trying to show some love for Belmont. That's right up my alley, okay?
Well, Rick Byrd has been in Nashville. He's from the state of Tennessee. He's from Knoxville, but he has lived in Nashville for the better part of the last 33 years. And so he has also gotten into the country music scene. He's very close friends with people who are in the industry as well. And it's not unusual to see Grammy Award winners like Vince Gill and Amy Grant showing up to Bruins games. Pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. As is this game we have right here. Both teams executing offensively and starting to heat up. Morant again with the finish in the lane, that time with the left.
So he has scored the Racers' last 8 points. Murray State back in front by 1. Nice little pick and roll to Adelsberger, who again gets the start tonight, and he has been productive inside.
Solid. Again, solid in the transition game thus far. They've really done a nice job limiting the transition offense for Murray State.
Wow! How did that go in? With the left hand flying away from the basket off the wrong foot.
When we talked to Coach Byrd this afternoon at shoot-around, he said, look, we want to make Morant make tough shots. I would classify that right there as off-the-charts difficult shot. My goodness, that's not bad defense. You get him out of the lane. He's going to his left, using his left hand, taking the hit, and I don't even think he was looking at the basket and was somehow able to get the finish. But you'll live with that if you're Belmont. Again, if a guy's going to make a shot like that, there's nothing you can do about it.
Grayson Murphy with a nice bounce pass on the back cut to Windler, who couldn't handle it.
And we spoke to Coach McMahon about defending Belmont. Yes, they are one of the better three-point shooting teams. That time, that's a break for Murray State. He said, I'm concerned about their backdoor cuts. That's a nice cut by Windler. Just lost concentration, because otherwise, if he caught that, that was an uncontested dunk.
Good hustle by Caleb Hollander, nearly forcing the turnover. Belmont comes up with it. Bruins with the basketball down by a point. Windler catch and release. On rebound, goes out of bounds, back to Murray State.
Well, he was making all of those last night. That's another nice find by Grayson Murphy. Windler, though, unable to get heated up from beyond the arc. He's had some good looks early on in this game.
Here is Demetrius Morant. Ja short for Jamel. From the tiny town of Dalzell, South Carolina, population 2,200. And he, along with his old AAU teammate Zion Williamson, have been the talk of college basketball this year. Sanchez clears the miss. And here comes Morant with a burst of speed. He loses his footing and is called for the traveling. This is our next NBA Sunday Showcase game on ABC. It's the Pacers and 76ers, who could have Joel Embiid back for this one. They've been battling for the #3 spot in the East. Our coverage tips with NBA Countdown at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific, and both are available live on the ESPN app. McClain being hounded by Tevin Brown. McClain gets tied up, and the possession arrow remains with Belmont. Nice job by Morant to jump on the double team.
And excellent on-ball defense by Tevin Brown right here on McClain. Again, this is just individual defense, and then you have a teammate coming over, stepping in, getting his hands on the ball. That's a great individual play that time, though, by Brown, keeping the guy right in front of him.
Third time this half, Morant has been able to knock the ball away from Murphy from behind. This time, Belmont will keep with 6 on the shot clock. And my high school coach would call that lazy man defense. He didn't like that, but it's been effective so far for Morant. Windler gonna have to put it up. Instead, he dumps it off just before the buzzer. The layup is good. And that is Saban, the freshman, who averages only 1.6 points per game.
And that's a beautiful find by Windler. He is more than just a three-point shooter and rebounder. He can create for others. That's a beautiful individual play.
Third assist so far tonight for Windler.
And Doug, Guys are slipping all over on this side of the court, Murray State's offensive side, on the decal, the OVC decal. I think it's starting to get a little bit dangerous. That's 3 times now we've seen players slip. That's something that we definitely need to keep our eye on.
Well, from that exact spot, Buchanan seemed to have good footing on that shot. Rebound comes back to the Racers. And the stick back. Devin Gilmore puts Murray State back on top. McClain, shovel pass, and again it's inside for the little-used reserve, Derek Saban.
Right now, Doug, Murray State is gambling. That's all set up because they're gambling, going for steals. And against a team like Belmont, one of the most efficient teams on offense, when you gamble and don't get it, they're going to pick you apart. That's excellent offense by Belmont.
That's already 9 points out of the center position for Belmont, which is playing without its starting center, Muzinski. Off the steal, Windler. He's on the board. Morant going to work, leans in and does what he does. Draws a foul and will be heading to the free throw line when we come back.
Well, Dylan Windler is more than just a guy that can knock down shots. Showing off the passing ability right here. Beautiful dime by Windler. And then the finish on the other end, showing off the athleticism.
All right, guys, thank you very much. Back in Evansville, Indiana, where during this timeout, the league has been addressing what we've been talking about, the slippage on the OVC stickers there in the lane, and especially at that end of the floor, it has been problematic where at least 3 times, as we will show you here, different players have lost their footing.
Yeah, and that's a dangerous situation. Again, it's a player safety thing. When you have conditions like that where guys are sliding all over, really, that's something we need to keep our eye on.
And Brooke has more on what the league is doing to address this situation right now.
Yes, I spoke with a representative for the Ohio Valley Conference, and he told me that they're going to continue to clean it. Just from understanding what those logos feel like when you're playing on top of them, they haven't changed, in my opinion, since the late 90s. Malcolm, I don't know about you, but every conference tournament, to me, this seems to be a reoccurring issue of players slipping on these decals, and I just think they're in very dangerous positions. The OVC logo, to me, obviously probably covers up something, Evanston's home court, to better represent the conference championship. But I think we need to put the player safeties ahead of that.
I would agree with you, Brooke. I don't like it at all. I think you're just setting yourself up for a serious injury. And I know you want to get signage on there. But again, as you said, player safety should be first.
And Brooks exactly right. This is the home building for the Evansville Purple Aces, who play in the Missouri Valley Conference. So quite likely these OVC stickers are covering up the Missouri Valley Conference logo that is permanently on the floor. But we certainly have seen a situation repeatedly here tonight. And as Brooks said, of course, she played at Coastal Carolina back in the 90s. Malcolm, you played in Boston College back in the day before I think they put out these stickers like they do nowadays. But we do see this pretty regularly at this time of year. Shot clock at 2. Morant has to put it up. Well short.
Well, Belmont is executing their defensive plan. We talked to Coach Bird. He said, look, we want to get Murray State deep into the shot clock. They shoot 32% of their possessions. They shoot under 8 seconds. We want to make sure we get back in transition and then force them to run their offense. Thus far early in this game, they've been able to do that. Obviously, John Morant, though, has made some difficult shots with a lot of people in front of him.
That was the second foul on Javion Eves. He stays in the game for Murray State. Racers have committed 6 as a team and now make it 7 with the blocking foul against Tevin Brown. Well, you know, Tevin Brown was the recruit Mac McMahon and his staff were trying to get when they kind of stumbled upon John Morant. It was an assistant coach by the name of James Kane, now who's at Dayton University, who went to an AAU combine in Spartanburg, South Carolina, recruiting Tevin Brown. And on a run to the concession stand, he passed by an auxiliary gym, heard a bouncing ball, went and looked. It was a 3-on-3 competition. He's like, well, who's that guy? It was John Morant. he immediately called his boss, Matt McMahon, who was in Georgia, said, "You got to get up here and see him tomorrow." Hops in the car. Coach McMahon drives from Georgia to South Carolina, agrees with what he sees in John Morant. Within days, they offer him, and not long thereafter, he committed to be a Racer.
It's just an amazing story how John Morant was found in a situation where they weren't even there to see him, and all he's done is turn into a lottery pick.
And by the way, they got Tevin Brown as well. They got a 2-for-1 out of that trip to Spartanburg, South Carolina. They start in the backcourt for the Racers. Second foul on Adelsberger. And so KJ Williams, the 6'9" freshman from Cleveland, Mississippi, misfires on the first. For the 34th year, Champ Week continues tomorrow with 4 women's title games on ESPN2. The ACC championship game is at noon Eastern. Then it's the SEC, then the Big Ten at 6 o'clock, followed by the Pac-12 at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. As always, you can watch those games live on the ESPN app from anywhere. Empty trip for KJ Williams and the Racers, who trailed by 2. Final minute of the first half in this 2019 Ohio Valley Conference Championship. The first men's conference championship game of the year. Even though the shot was made by Caleb Hollander, I've got to think Murray State wouldn't mind that being what the Bruins settle for on each offensive set.
You know, you look at, though, how Belmont runs their offense. They are so patient. They have great spacing. And it's easy to see why they're at the top of pretty much every offensive statistic in college.
Gilmore left it short. Final 15 seconds of the half. Murphy gets instruction from his longtime head coach Rick Byrd. Now 6 seconds, 5 seconds. Windler comes and sets the screen. Murphy fires over the top. The heave is off the mark by John Morant. Morant, though, heated up as that first half went on and helped the Racers get back into the ball game. He went for 29 last night. What will he have in the second half in store in this title game tonight? 14 and counting for the sophomore for the Racers. His head coach, Matt McMahon, standing by now with Brooke.
Coach, Dylan Windler with just 2 points in the first half, yet you're trailing by 5 points going into the half. What do you need to do to kind of neutralize what the rest of the team is hurting you for?
Well, I thought 31 points on Belmont and a half is good enough to win. We got to execute offensively. They've done a nice job in their ball screen coverage, but we got to make something other than a layup. We got to be able to step up and knock down these open shots in the second half.
I saw you talking to Ja about continuing to go off ball screens and continue to drive and dish. Are you hoping to see more of that in the second?
Yeah, well, they're coming to really help us strong on them. It looks like there's a lot of contact, but that's part of it. We got to either finish the plays. We got to do a better job reacting to the penetration on the perimeter, getting to his vision so we can get some open looks.
Great, thank you.
Right, thank you.
Neither team shooting well in the first half. Murray State 0 for 8 on threes. Belmont 5 for 20. Nonetheless, it's the Bruins on top at the intermission, 31-26. Let's send you to Kevin Connors and Chris Spatola in the studio.
First half.
And you know what? There are a lot of parallels in this game and the regular season meeting that these two teams had back in January. Terrific set for the Racers to get a layup on their first possession. KJ Williams makes it 31-28. And let's go back over to Brooke.
Coach Rick Byrd coming out of halftime, and he said, listen, we just really need to get more of our guys involved. Where we're having the biggest issue is figuring out our offense without Nick Muszynski on the court. It just leaves us a big hole on the inside. And I asked him about the shot selection for John Morant. I said, do you like him creating off the dribble? And he said, well, I really don't know how you're supposed to stop it. So we're okay with it for now.
I don't think anybody does.
And he hit some tough ones in that first half. Again, if you're Coach Rick Byrd, you're going to live with him hitting shots going to his left. Difficult shots. You just don't want to give him easy looks.
Darnell Cowart, who didn't play much in that first half because of foul difficulties, makes it 33-30. Well, back on January 24th in the game at Murray State, Belmont won 79-66, and it was because of that they won the tiebreaker to be the #1 seed. Driving layup by Grayson Murphy. And in that game, Windler did not get his points. He had 5 points, but did have 4 assists and 13 rebounds. Played an all-around game. At the same time, Morant, 20 points on only 5 of 19 shooting. So there are some parallels between the one regular season meeting and this one for a spot in the NCAA tournament. Coward. Williams gets it back to Coward. He finishes on second effort.
Oh, they are really working the bigs. Murray State, they have made an emphasis to go down low to both their bigs, and they have delivered. That time, Coward, nice work on the interior by the bigs of Murray State.
Murphy pulls the trigger.
Well, Doug, we talk a lot about Morant, and rightfully so, but for me, Grayson Murphy is one of the better points in the Ohio Valley Conference. He just plays at a great pace, finds guys, and then he is a nifty scoring. That time, beautiful little pull-up jumper when he had to switch with the big.
Yeah, Murphy appeared last year in only 4 games, and then he and the coaching staff decided to have him redshirt, and it has really paid off this year. Although here he's called for the offensive foul. Nice job by Shaq Buchanan. Well, for Rick Byrd, his team seems to have the best argument for an at-large bid this year out of the OVC, but don't discount Murray State.
No, and I think both teams really are deserving. But right now, on paper, you look at the numbers, and speaking with Joe Lenardi, he believes, look, Belmont has the best argument if they aren't able to win the outright conference tournament to get an at-large bid. Certainly, though, neither coach wants to put it into committee's hands.
And that bottom line is a big one. Belmont 3-1 against BPI top 100 teams, while Murray State has not beaten, coming into this championship game, a top 100 opponent all year long. Both these teams, though, piled up a ton of wins. Both are 26-4 overall. Murray State riding a 10-game winning streak. Belmont even longer. They've not lost since mid-January. They are at 14 in a row and counting.
Doug, we continue to see Morant finish with his left hand. I count that at least 3 or 4 times. He's used his left hand to finish high up off the glass in the lane.
Windler finds Hopkins in the corner for 3.
Windler continues to impact the game without scoring. That's a beautiful dribble drive and then find. I'm just so impressed with his game, how he can impact it in so many different ways.
The big man with the spin, the assist on the basket by Williams.
That is all set up by Darnell Cowart, showing off the footwork. That's a beautiful spin and then find. And that's a big making a play like that. That's great footwork and touch.
And I'm guessing a couple of years ago he couldn't have made that play. He has transformed his body, and you can see the footwork on the big man. Williams comes up with the basketball. Morant now has it. Penetrates with that left hand. Morant for 3. It's good! Murray State retakes the lead.
Wow.
When we come back, who does Morant remind you of? Malcolm Huckabee's got a comp both from a former college All-American who is now a superstar in the NBA. Huckabee, Morant, Russell Westbrook. What do you think?
Well, Magic Johnson flew on his private jet, not to see me and you, Doug, but to see this guy right here, Morant. He reminds me of Westbrook because of his explosiveness. Right there, that looks similar. He's got the ability to chase down guys with their athleticism and length, and then put you on a poster right there. The hops really are out of this world. Both these guys, 2 of the most explosive players in basketball. Morant continuing to put on a show.
There you see the numbers from when Russell Westbrook was a sophomore at UCLA back in 07-08. John Morant, much better numbers across the board. Keep in mind, though, apples and oranges in terms of the Pac-12 at that time and the OVC. And also, Darren Collison shared that backcourt for the Bruins with Russell Westbrook, so there weren't nearly as many shots available. But you get the idea that there is a very high ceiling for this young man, John Morant.
It really has been impressive, the run that he has been on.
Well, John Morant and the Racers have started to percolate here in the second half. Shots are falling both ways. At the moment, the Bruins lead by 1. At 21 points on 9 of 18 shooting. He is heating up here in the second half, Malcolm.
Yeah, he really has. And his ability to get into the lane and finish. We've seen him do this time and time this game with the left hand. This is where he excels. In the open court, he is near impossible to keep in front of you. I think, though, that's the key stat right there. His ability to knock down shots consistently. If he can do that, he is, again, a guy that is so difficult to keep in front of you. Just an outstanding talent.
But the surprising number, as you saw, 0 assists for the nation's leader in assists per game. And he has turned the basketball over 6 times.
Now that's the line that he has to improve upon. Turnovers. Belmont has capitalized in this game. Points off of turnovers.
Pick and pop to Hollander. Tough shot. And he's called for the offensive foul. Well, you know, we made the comparison between John Morant and Russell Westbrook. Let's not go back quite so far. Let's go back a year ago. We remember Trae Young at Oklahoma, who took college hoops by storm in November and December and then struggled more as the season went on, got into Big 12 conference play. Turnovers are a potential issue for both of these mercurial talents, but where do you see the parallels between Morant and Young?
Well, the ability to score. I think the ability to make others guys get easy shots. And I think also, too, the celebrity that comes with them. We had Magic Johnson courtside last night in Evansville, Indiana. But I certainly can draw the comparison in these two guys' games of their ability to draw so much attention from opposing defenses.
And much like Lon Kruger with the Sooners last year, it became its own thing. You do have to deal with all the attention that those two superstar players garner. I'm glad to see Trae Young has really come on as a rookie with the Atlanta Hawks this year. Brown back to Morant. Give it back to Brown in the corner. Is that the first assist? Indeed it is. Can Belmont respond? Murphy does just that.
He's been the player of the game for me for Belmont. Grayson Murphy has been impressive. One of the best assist guys, not just in the OVC, but in the country. But his ability to get in the lane and finish tonight has been impressive for Belmont.
Cowart kicks it out to the wide open shot by Buchanan. Belmont down 4 with the basketball in the OVC championship game. With Malcolm Huckabee and Brooke Weisbrod, I'm Doug Sherman here at the Ford Center in downtown Evansville, Indiana. One of these teams will be cutting down the nets later tonight. Back cut. Boy, what a beautiful setup to find Tevin Brown off the feed from Darnell Cowart. Brown will shoot 2.
This is a beautiful setup. They denied John Morant, and then Darnell Cowart with a beautiful backdoor pass. Nice cut by Brown, and that's just beautiful execution by Murray State. Not settling for a jumper, but getting a higher percentage shot off the backdoor cut.
And that was the second foul on Bankert. This is our next NBA Sunday Showcase game on ABC. Pacers 76ers. They've been battling for the number 3 spot in the East. Coverage tips with NBA Countdown at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. And both are available live on the ESPN app. And we should mention also that Seth Adelsberger Tonight's starting center for Belmont is on the bench with 3 personal fouls. They're also without Nick Muszynski, their starting center, because of an ankle injury suffered last night. Buchanan's going to be called for the foul. Second on him. And if you're Belmont head coach Rick Byrd, without Muszynski and with Windler stuck on only 2 points, do you run action to get number 3 going here?
Well, I think the biggest thing right now with Windler, he's had some open looks early in the first half in this game. I think you got to continue to run your offense. The issue is transition defense. Murray State right now is starting to get some looks in transition. You got to cut the turnovers and then have better transition defense and try to get Murray State deep into the shot clock.
KJ Williams whistled for his first. And there is number 3, Dylan Windler, projected as a second-round pick in the upcoming NBA draft. But he's been doing other things, just not scoring the basketball so far. Now with plenty of room. Around the rim, off the glass and in, his first made triple of the night.
And he's had those looks. In the first half, they just weren't falling for him. That's a beautiful execution. And again, Grayson Murphy, I just love the way he plays. He is such a heads-up point guard. Beautiful pick and pop that time with Windler.
Tough shot. The contact was taken, and KJ Williams will head to the free throw line. Well, we were wondering if Dylan Windler would start knocking down shots. Well, the answer is yes. Slips a screen, buries the 3, and the senior from Indianapolis has Belmont back within 3. You say the numbers 50, 40, 90 to a basketball player. They understand that's the goal, to shoot 50% from the floor, 40% from 3, and 90% from the free throw line. Malcolm Huckabee, for most, that's an unattainable goal, but for Dylan Windler, pretty attainable.
Well, you're showing some, now you don't shade at me like that. But for him, you look at what he has done. Last night, the huge game that he had, 21 boards, and you look at the stats right here, 58% from the floor, 47 from the three-point line, and 89, almost 90 from the free throw line. Doug, it has just been impressive. And you look at this, only player in the nation last year to average 17 points, 9 rebounds, 2 assists, and he shot 40% from the three-point line. One of the most efficient and complete players in college basketball.
Windler this year is the only player in the country averaging 20 points, 10 rebounds, 2.5 assists per game. He is stuck on 5 points tonight, and his team is down by 4 with a basketball. Murphy denied. Spectacular block shot by John Morant. He gets it back, attacks, uses the left hand again. He's going southpaw one more time.
I'm not sure he's used his right hand finishing tonight, Doug. First, start off the play. You can't have any better recovery on defense right here. Murphy looks like he has a easy bucket. Comes out of nowhere, and then again with the left hand to take the hit. The body control, his eyes were on the rim the whole time. He just continues to impress with his ability to finish in the paint.
24 points for John Morant. You know, he has made 3 #1 SportsCenter top 10 plays this year, and counting, of course. They all were dunks. The unbelievable one at Alabama back in November. Then when he scaled the opponent January 10th at UT Martin, and then again on January 17th. But you know what? He's made the top 10 a couple of times with block shots.
Well, I think that one right there on Murphy, that one is worthy of a SportsCenter top 10 nominee.
Derek Saban, 6 points off the bench for Belmont. Brooke, you've got more?
We were talking about Dylan's game earlier, and you know, it was interesting talking to him yesterday about, hey, when did you actually realize the moment when you could play at the next level? And he said it was really after the time where I dropped 41 on Morehead State, and he said, yeah, I think I could see myself doing this at the next level. And Coach Rick Byrd said we saw it in him very early on. We were on his list, he was on our list, but most importantly, we were on Mom's list. You guys know that's the one that matters most.
No doubt about it. And Coach Bird said of Windler, who just had the putback, from the first moment I saw him play, literally the first 10 possessions, it was obvious he could be an elite player at our level.
I spoke with several scouts after last night's game, and I think he has a bright future at the next level. I think he'd be a great complementary piece to go along with a star player. He really does a little bit of everything well on the basketball court.
Now that one would have tied it. Instead, Murray State back with the basketball. 54-51 the score. 9.5 minutes remaining in this OVC championship. Morant turns. The defense wasn't up on him. He could have taken a wide open 12-foot shot. Instead he attacked and is fortunate to keep possession.
And right now Belmont has switched up to a 2-3 matchup zone. I like that move. I think, one, it gives his guys a little bit of rest, but then it also forces Murray State to be a perimeter jump shooting team and keep Ja Morant out of the paint if you're playing man-to-man.
Morant misses the leaner, gets it back, attacks the rim again, and like he usually does, gets himself to the free throw line. You know, it's a skill, it's a knack that he has that not many others do, of getting yourself to the free throw line.
Well, for the season, Doug, he's over 240 free throws. That's for the season, not his career. He's taken over 240 free throws. This is just great work on the offensive glass. And in last night's game, Doug, really was a huge discrepancy. For him, he took 15 free throws. Jacksonville State took 8 total for the game. And you are right. I think it is a skill and an art for a guy to draw contact and then get to the free throw line. He's one of the best in the country.
I don't think that Rick Bird and company and the other coaches around the OVC aren't acutely aware of that. You've got to be conscious of the fact that you're giving up points at the free throw line every night when you're facing Ja Morant. That foul was on Dylan Windler, his second and the 7th team foul against the Bruins. Under 9 minutes to go. Belmont down by 5. McClain had 10 early points. He's had only 2 since. Off the pull-up, the senior from Jennings, Florida. And they will review that at the next stoppage, whether it was a 2 or a 3.
McClain continues to play well. Last night had 20 points.
With the flex coming back up court after exploding to the rim. Murphy.
Well, Sports Center, top 10. Ja Morant flexing again, this time with the right hand. Flex on him, Ja.
A little flush, a little flex, a little mean mugging. That's Ja Morant. He's got 28 points. The Racers back up by 4. The 2019 OVC Player of the Year, making his way onto SportsCenter's top 10 over and over again. Well, hashtag SC Top 10. It looks like we've got Ja Morant headed for the Lake Sports Center one more time.
One of the most explosive players, with the exception of Zion Williamson. Ja Morant is it. He's got the ability to put you on a poster, as he did right there. This time with the right hand. Athleticism off the charts. Ja Morant continues to play at a high level.
And during that last break, the officials did review the jump shot that was in question, whether it was a 2 or a 3, and it was very clear on the replay that the toe was on the line, so it was a 2-point jump shot for the Bruins. Our score 58-53. Color. Boy, he's had himself a real nice ball game tonight for Murray State.
I love his activity. Speaking with the coaching staff this afternoon, they really love his footwork. He's their most skilled big, and he's had a great night, as you said.
Dylan Windler into double figures.
Doug, he is a next-level guy. I think up until last night and tonight, probably the best-kept secret in college basketball.
Murphy hands it off. Windler turns the corner right to the basket for 2 more. The senior out of Perry Meridian High School in Indianapolis is heating up. And it's another double-double. Oh, by the way.
If this is your first time seeing Dylan Windler play, you are in for a treat. He is a guy that is going to be playing for a paycheck at the next level. He does a little bit of everything, coming off of night where he went for over 30 and had 21 rebounds in a win last night.
Shaq Buchanan. Again, Windler into the paint. Ten to shoot. McClain, long 3. And the rebound comes to Brown.
What a great block out that time by Kohler.
Little 2-man game, and the foul is drawn. It goes as number 4 against Adelsberger. Well, the winner of this game will be the first to punch their ticket into the 2019 NCAA tournament. Belmont, Murray State, the co-regular season champs, both 16-2 in conference play, both on extended winning streaks. One of them will end tonight. The other will get the automatic bid. The loser of this game will have a long 8 days waiting for Selection Sunday to know if they're in or out.
Again, we had Magic Johnson on the air last night, and I'm going to agree with Magic. I think he knows a little something about basketball. He passed both these teams passed his eye test. He felt it would be a shame if they're not in the tournament. Both teams, I think, are deserving.
Now, if you look around college basketball today, a lot of bubble teams won their regular season games, and that'll play a role. The cut line is forever fluid and will be right up until Selection Sunday, which is a week from tomorrow. Second foul on Tevin Brown. Well, for Belmont, they certainly seem to have the inside track to get an at-large if it comes to that. Bill Lenardi has consistently had them lately as a 12 seed as it stands now, presuming they win tonight. But if they lose, they've still got a fighting chance with those numbers, a BPI rank of 43, the net rank of 41, and that's the big variable this year, the net rank. That's the new formula being used by the selection committee, and they've not been overly transparent about exactly what goes into it. So we will learn better whether the net helps a team like Belmont, hurts a team like Belmont, or doesn't really have as much an impact compared to the way it's been done in years past.
Every year we have this discussion, and every year there's a team that I feel, and most people feel, gets slighted for whatever reason. Hope that's not the case with these teams tonight on display.
Belmont can retake the lead. McClain is fouled by Kohler. That's number 3 on the big fella. 6'8", 295, a junior from Chicago. He comes in averaging over 10 points, nearly 7 rebounds per game, and he's been very good tonight. 4th team foul against the Racers. And with that, KJ Williams returns in place of Kohler. We are less than 2 hours away from the Murray State campus in Murray, Kentucky. And with that, we have another record crowd here in Evansville, Indiana tonight. 10,525. And for the second straight night, a new largest ever OVC basketball tournament crowd. Morant again going left-handed. Give him 30 on the night.
He is just so difficult to keep in front of you. That time the spin move, little head fake up and under, and then finish again with the left hand.
McClain, no. Williams, the outlet. Here comes Morant. Double team, ball poked away. Bruins have it. On the run out, Adam Kunkel's got his first 2. The freshman from Hebron, Kentucky makes it 62-61 Murray State.
And Doug, that's the concern with Ja Morant. If there's one knock on his game, turnovers. He does everything else well, but turnovers will kill you. And in this particular case, Belmont has feasted off of those turnovers.
There's another near turnover. Shot clock down to 8. Williams missed the layup. He'll try again. And the Bruins have it back. Big rebound inside for one of the smaller guys on the floor. Nick Hopkins listed at 6 feet, 175 pounds.
Number 12, John Morant. That is his first.
Foul number 1 on Morant.
In the game for Belmont, number 3, Dylan Windler.
15 foul against Murray State. Kunkel will go out. Murphy returns.
Replacing Kevin McClain.
Windler the inbound. He's got 13 points and 10 rebounds. 4th straight game with a double-double for the first team all-conference wing, who's got the basketball now. Working on Buchanan after the jab step. Spins into the lane, goes to the right hand, and softly lays it through the rim.
Well, that's not bad defense by Buchanan. That's just a big-time offensive move by a guy that's just playing lights out. And Dylan Windler again is showing off his whole game.
And then Morant has the answer to put Murray State back in front. Each of these guys has gone for more than 40 in a game this year. Windler again. What will Morant do next? Well, slip to the floor, try to keep the dribble, and then the foul is called. It comes against Benkert, and that is his 4th. Well, with so much on the line, the two stars are taking over for their respective teams. Ja Morant for the Racers, Dylan Windler for the Bruins.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Principal Investments, Retirement Insurance.
Ja Morant sitting at 32 points and counting as he and Murray State try to take down Belmont. Well, Sports Center tonight after Oregon, Washington with Bucci Maine. Jay Billis joins the show to break down Duke, North Carolina. They'll have more analysis of Ja Morant and the Racers and their game tonight. Are the Racers going to be dancing? Are they going to have to wait for Selection Sunday? Also on SportsCenter, the Celtics trying to keep rising up in the East. They take on LeBron and the Lakers at Staples Center. SportsCenter, midnight Eastern, 9 Pacific on ESPN and the ESPN app. And there is Morant back where he lives at the free throw line.
Doug, what was so impressive seeing him last night? Yes, he put up 29 points. Yes, he had a few highlight reels, but the 2 plays towards the end of the game where he was able to break down the defense and not take a bad shot, set Buchanan up for some wide open looks that were huge in that game. His basketball IQ, the pace and understanding and feel for the game, I think really is what makes him a special player. That separates him from other guards.
Windler, who has scored 13 points in the last 9 minutes, picks up the assist. Sweet dish to Adelsberger.
Windler continues to set his teammates up. Again, he draws so much attention, just like Ja Morant does. That's an unselfish play, not an easy pass. He put the perfect touch on it. All he had to do is catch, go back up with it.
Yeah, his 5th assist tonight, Malcolm. Morant heading back to the foul line, and you know what? Kevin McClain comes away holding his face. He already has gauze in his left nostril. Now he's holding the right side of his face for Belmont. He was part of that crowd that met up near the rim. He picks up the foul as first, and he comes away with a bruised forehead for it. That game that Morant scored 40 at SIUE back in January, he set an OVC record by going 21 for 21 at the free throw line.
And Doug, just to put it in perspective, most guys don't take 300 free throws in 4 years. He's almost there in a single season. It's just remarkable how he's able to draw contact and get to the free throw line, where he's an over 80% free throw shooter.
Yeah, 6th best in the conference. 36 points for Morant. The lead is back to 3. Windler left alone for a moment, didn't pull the trigger. Now the shot clock at 6. Long 3, and that was not a good look. Under 2 minutes remaining in this championship game of the OVC.
Well, that's great transition defense, though, by Belmont. All 5 guys got back, created that wall for John Morant.
Eves into the post. Traveling. Court turns it over.
Well, without Nizinski in the lineup, their starting center, Belmont, how were the role player bigs going to step up in this game? Now, this is a beautiful individual defensive move. And a big turnover going the way of Belmont.
McClain to the corner. Hopkins, air ball. John Morant looks at his head coach, Matt McMahon, taps his chest and says, "I'm good." Going to run the clock under a minute before he goes. And here goes the 6'3" sophomore from Dalzell, South Carolina. Sets up the triple by Brown. Murray State by 6. Offensive foul. Foul number 3 on number 3.
And that's just great team defense. Windler trying to make a play. On the other end, John Morant. A beautiful find, set up. And then right here, take a look at the team defense. Can't do it any better. The crowd really is heavily in favor of Murray State, is loving it.
And on the inbound just a moment ago, the ball was knocked out of bounds, and there's a timing issue now. So Tom Short, one of the officials, is going to go over and check timing. I guess they're going to see if Kevin McClain or John Morant were the ones who touched it. You see the official Tom Short signaling, and now they're over along with Brett Smith, seeing who touched it. Final 2 minutes of regulation. They can go to the review to see who was the last to touch on the out of bounds.
Right here, no ticks off. Looks like it's going off McClain. And now the question is how many seconds came off the clock? Every kick counts in this situation.
And it's worth noting that the call on the floor was that it was Murray State basketball, and so they've got to see indisputable video evidence to the contrary to give it to Belmont. If they're not sure, it's going to be Murray State ball.
So this is a better look right here. And ooh, okay. Now from that angle there, still looks like it's off McClain. I got to imagine they're looking at how much time came off, or are they checking to see whether or not that ball tipped off of Ja Morant's hand? This is a huge call. Certainly becomes even bigger if it's Belmont ball. So there's the tip by McClain, and then hard to tell from that angle whether or not that touched Ja Morant's fingertip.
Well, we wanted the stars on each side to take over the game at crunch time. They've done that over the last 12 minutes. Ja Morant, 15 points. Dylan Windler, 13 of his 17.
48 hours of impressive basketball. Not just by the two stars. Yes, they have been impressive. But their supporting cast, really, they have all performed at a high level. We've seen some quality basketball out of both these programs.
Ja Morant with only 2 assists. That matches his career low, which came against West Virginia a year ago, but he has been filling it up. 36 points to lead the Racers.
His ability to finish, impressive. One of the best in college basketball, if not the best. With the left hand, I got it. I think this area right here, if he's knocking down jump shots, he's unguardable. So difficult to keep out of lane. Again, with the left hand, that is the reason why all these NBA execs, including Magic Johnson, were courtside last night. All eyes were on Ja Morant.
Murray State has 3 timeouts remaining. Belmont with just 1. The Bruins, as you see, have been 7 times to the big dance. Murray State looking for their 17th overall and 2nd in a row. These two teams met in this game a year ago. Murray State won that game 68-51. This one much closer, going right down to the wire.
And I got to expect, you have to expect that both star players, Morant and Windler, are going to have the ball in their hands to close this game out. Either make a play for themselves or set up one of their teammates if the defense collapses on them.
Well, this has taken enough time on the replay. I mean, they have looked at it time and time and time again and again. Maybe they're looking at the timing, but it shouldn't take this long in the final minute of a conference championship game. And yet, here's another look. Looking for it in real speed is what the officials wanted this time. Boy, if you look at it 10 times and you still haven't been able to come up with a definitive answer, you got to play on.
Yeah, and I think you got to go with the original call of Belmont ball. I mean, excuse me, Murray State ball. But I think to take this much time, really it just takes the air out of the game and also the momentum. It looks like they took off a half a second. So certainly that helps Murray State out with the 6-point lead.
Belmont led by 5 at halftime in what was a poor shooting first half. The offenses have cranked it up here in the second. And we've been told that after all of that, they took off half a second, 0.5 of a second, down to 40.9, and it is Murray State basketball.
And in this situation right here, Doug, you got to be careful if you're Belmont that Murray State doesn't run somebody long and then get a freebie down the other end with an open layup.
Well, Eves went long, but he had someone tailing him. The inbound comes short, and the foul given with 38.9 on the clock. Second foul on the redshirt freshman point guard Grayson Murphy out of Independence High School, Franklin, Tennessee. And so that will send the junior Coward, who is a 69% foul shooter, to the line. He's sitting on 10 points. Well, he has closed out the season for the Racers on a real uptick.
He really worked on his body over the offseason. The coaching staff had a big part of that. They ran with him over the summer. Each coach, the assistant coaches, taking turns, running a couple miles with him. Really worked on his physique, and the results have been there. He's their most skilled big.
He gets 1 of 2 from the line. Devin Gilmore returns, replacing Coward. Full court pressure by the Racers, who lead by 7.
Well, if you're Belmont, you have to get into your offense quick.
McClain left it short. Murray State has it. There's the foul. 27.5 seconds are on the clock. Third foul on Murphy. This is the largest lead of the ball game for Murray State, which again was trailing by 5 at halftime.
At the line for Murray State,
How about that 1-2 punch of Ja Morant and Tevin Brown, who goes to the free throw line, who Coach Matt McMahon and his staff signed out of the same AAU workout in Spartanburg, South Carolina a couple of years ago.
It really is a unbelievable 1-2 punch that they have. And Brown, what a high school career he had, scored over 2,000 points.
Fairhope, Alabama.
And he really is a guy that stretches the defense. When Ja Morant gets in the lane, his ability to knock down shots has been huge for Murray State.
McClain way off the mark. The Racers have it. Murphy commits another foul, and the partisan crowd here in Evansville can really feel it. Murray State in total control. And you know, so much is made about Ja Morant. 36 points tonight, doing his thing. But you know, Murray State has 4 different starters who average double figures. It's not just him.
And the guy at the line, I believe, they're not in this game if it's not for Shaq Buchanan's 3 at the end of that game last night against Jacksonville State. Obviously, Morant was the one who set him up, but Shaq Buchanan knocked down 2 huge buckets for Murray State last night to put them in the finals.
He's the one who hit the clinching shot in last year's conference championship game. Not going to have that drama tonight. Here goes Morant off the backboard. Buchanan lays it in, and that'll do it. Murray State, out of the OVC, the first to punch its ticket into the 2019 Big Dance.
Well, this is not just about Ja Morant. Yes, he was impressive in this game. Shaq Buchanan, Darnell Cowart. You had other guys that made contributions. Tevin Brown. Murray State punches the first ticket. I'm going to tell you right now, yes, Ja Morant is one of the best players in the country, but that supporting cast makes them a very dangerous team in March Madness.
And it looked like to me when the 2 head coaches met at midcourt, I was glad to see Matt McMahon immediately say to Rick Byrd, I'm guessing he apologized for that failed dunk attempt by Ja Morant. And it appeared that Coach Byrd and the assistants took the message and understood that we're okay. We get it. These kids are excited. They're about to go to the NCAA tournament for the 2nd year in a row. And the heartbreak for Belmont, playing without that man, Nick Muszynski, because of an ankle turn in last night's semifinals. They lose 15 points per game, and that probably contributes to another disappointing exit for the 4th year in a row in the OVC tournament by the Belmont Bruins. And now the question for them becomes, a week from tomorrow, will they get an at-large? Out of the Ohio Valley Conference, it's only happened once before, back in 1987. But the Bruins are certainly in that discussion. Joe Lunardi thinks it's a very real possibility. But tonight, it's all about the Murray State Racers, who are the first in the field of 68.
Well, I'll tell you what, it is going to be fun to watch Ja Morant in the NCAA tournament.
Let's go over to Brooke.
All right, Ja, you and the Murray State Racers are the first team to punch your ticket to the dance. How does that feel?
It feels good, especially for me being able to go back-to-back. And I know it's just a great feeling for me and all the guys, even the coaching staff. It's what we worked all year for, and we're here.
You had an incredible season, and we asked your coach this morning, how much do you coach Ja between shooting and passing, and how do you finagle that? And he said he leaves it up to you. So take us through your mindset tonight and how you made those decisions.
Coach has a lot of trust in me. I mean, let your coach play with a amount of freedom, but also I have to be the one to try to make the right plays. Sometimes I force, obviously have some turnovers, but he just coached me with them, just tell me to be smart with the ball.
You and Tevin and Shaq all signed on the same day. 2 days later, you guys make a road trip down to Murray State to watch a game winner. What has it meant to develop the program with these guys, you guys doing it together?
It feels good. Starting last year, we came in and just had the mindset that we were just going to try to get the program back to where it's been all the years. And last year, we ended up winning the championship. And this year, me and Shaq just led the guys, just try to be the best players and leaders we can be to lead this team to what we just won tonight.
Well, I know it's got to be so exciting for you. I know you can't wait to celebrate with your teammates, but can you give us a sense of what this team can do in the tournament?
I feel like we can come out. I think we can get one. We're a very tough team. We are grounded. We stay humble. We really just focus on the next task at hand. We leave the past behind us and just focus on the next most important thing.
All right, Jack, congratulations. Go ahead and celebrate.
Thank you.
77-65, the final score. Ja Morant with a game-high 36 points, a season-low 3 assists. But what an impressive performance, especially in the second half, for that young man.
Well, for me, Doug, it's not just about his highlight dunks. Yes, that's impressive. It's not about his ability to finish in the lane. Yes, that's what makes him elite. But for me, his ability to set his teammates up and make others around him better and get them easy buckets is the reason why he is a guy that's going to be a lottery pick this year in the NBA draft. It's just so fun to watch him play. His ability to make things that are so difficult, he makes them look easy. I cannot wait to see him. He is going to be in the NCAA tournament. What a sight that is going to be.
Pretty cool getting to see you punch your own ticket in the OVC bracket. What a night here in Evansville in front of a record crowd of 10,525. Ja Morant and the Racers win the OVC title 77-65. Now let's send you out to Orleans Arena in Las Vegas for West Coast Conference Tournament action with Dave Feldman and Sean Farnham.